What is going on YouTube? This is Jim back with another video review. Today taking a look at Genshin Impact. Yes, this is the same Genshin Impact that came out last year, September 28th, 2020 on iOS, Android, Windows, and PlayStation 4. Why am I looking at this game at the end of April? And it's because now it has received enhancements to make it run even better on PlayStation 5. When I first checked out this game on PlayStation 4, I immediately thought, wow, this is a total ripoff of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it is. But then I was also immediately taken back by just how bad the frame pacing was. Yes, it did its best to maintain a 60 frame per second experience, but because the frame pacing was so bad, there was so much jittering and tearing and stuttering, and I was really surprised that the game received as high of review as it did because it just didn't look good. There was a lot of problems with the game from a graphical standpoint that gave me a headache, and I had to turn it off. So I was kind of disappointed by that because I was starting to get invested in the world and the characters and the story and some of the gameplay, but I put it aside because I just felt like it wasn't there. Thankfully, the company figured out, hey, wait a minute, we can make this even better, and they brought it over to PlayStation 5. And with that, they did increase the textures, they did increase the load times, they did all the wonderful things, but most importantly, they fixed the frame pacing. So now it actually runs very smoothly. Interestingly enough, though, this game does have an options menu which allows you to enable or disable VSync, which is bizarre to me. If you turn VSync off on this game, known as Visual Sync, which is supposed to give you a nice, smooth, unripped frame appearance, if you turn that off, holy smokes, does this game look bad. It chugs, it rips, it tears, and that's exactly what, to me, it looked like on PlayStation 4. So I'm really, really happy they figured that out. They added that option, or at least PlayStation 5 has the hardware to support it. So we now can establish it looks great. The draw distance is great. It sounds phenomenal. But let's talk about the game itself, the gameplay. Is it fun? And I think it is. I think it's a blast. You're going to play. There's a story to it. It's definitely very stylized, as you guys are probably starting to realize now. But it's got a fun story to it. It's about some twins. One twin is separated from another. You are the soul's kind of survivor known as the Traveler, and you're looking for your twin. Then this dragon appears. You kind of get sucked up into the story, and before you know it, you're befriending other people, taking on quests, and having yourself a grand old adventure. This game does borrow incredibly heavy off of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You've got climbing, you've got gliding, you've got cooking, you've got that same kind of open world, like, can I do this? And the game actually supports it. Example, you can set things on fire, which will open up new paths. You'll find characters that have abilities that shoot ice. Well, ice shot on water will allow you to cross the water. It'll make a temporary ice bridge. You'll be able to burn things. When enemies are wet and you hit them with ice, you can freeze them, or if they're fire and they're wet, it'll douse the fire. It is a very robust simulation, and I really appreciate that they took such care and effort into making a really fun environmental hook with the game, with all these environmental abilities that really does mix up combat, because if you took that away, you would have a very basic game where you had like one regular ability, one magic ability, and a super. And honestly, I don't think that's enough to carry the game. But when you add in these other elemental effects, when you add in the fact that you can have up to 4 players at once that are instantly swappable via the D-pad, and I wouldn't really say chain combos together, but you can build the best team you want. You could have your fire guy, your ice guy, your wind guy, whatever. The fact that there's melee weapons like swords and hammers, and there's also like bows and arrows for range, and everybody has some sort of magical ability with them. It really does mix up the gameplay in a very fun way. Yeah, it is a Zelda ripoff, no doubt about it, and I don't know how many times I could say that. But it's got its own flair with that elemental stuff, and I feel like it does a good job of building on those strengths, because each combat engagement is fun. I definitely did enjoy leveling up some of the characters and working my way through. I haven't beat the story, by the way, but I can tell you that I've gotten far enough that like I kind of think I know where it's going to go. But even outside of that, you know, even if it's one of these things where like, well, I don't know if I really want to invest my time in it, you know, at least do yourself a favor and check it out, because I think the biggest thing it has going for it, it's free to play. And it doesn't really gate you in the way that you would expect a free-to-play game to gate you. Yes, just about everything you do will take time. When you go to a blacksmith and you give them ore and say, hey, can you smelt this ore and turn it into like an ingot or something so I can make an armor vest or, you know, a new sword or whatever, it takes time. And obviously, the higher you go up in the rarity, the longer the time it takes. And that is frustrating. You know as well as I do that there will be some sort of transaction where you can pay for like an instant smelting token or, you know, I get it. They are monetizing this game wherever they could. It has a store page that is littered with new characters you don't have, or costumes you don't have, or it'll give you perks or crafting materials or skill points or whatever you can possibly think of. They will monetize it. And it's done very well. It's grossed over $1 billion in the first 6 months, just to give you guys an idea of just how profitable this game has been. But if you look past the microtransaction part and you enjoy it for what it is, you just say, I just want to have a free-to-play experience. Either I don't have a Nintendo Switch or, you know, Breath of the Wild wasn't my thing. I think you will appreciate a game like this because it does take a lot of care. It does introduce tons of characters that you can cycle through and pick out the one you like the best. It does have a really cool armor system that has craft items, that has set items that change the way your character interacts in combat. The world is beautiful to take in and explore, and it's fun to walk around and kind of see what's out in the environment. It's fun to use your abilities to see what kind of trouble you can get into. There's lots of ancillary quests and things to explore outside of the quote-unquote golden path. You know, don't just go to the town, get the quest, go to the whatever. But take your time to walk around, find some of the other shrines, and find some of the bonus challenges, and get into trouble that way. And looking here at the gameplay right now, this is a great example of kind of using the environment. I am way underpowered for this, by the way. I should not be nearly this strong, or nearly this weak fighting these people, but I'm just a glutton, and I wanted to get in there and fight. And I could take my super ability, which creates like a tornado, and I could position myself and blow all the enemies backwards right into the spikes. And look at that. It kills them. The spikes catch on fire. The spikes get destroyed. The enemies die. Level 15 enemies. And I'm level, what, 8, 9 at the time? This is crazy. And you can do that because you use the environment to your advantage. That's what I'm talking about, where the combat is fun and refreshing. Could you have walked over and just swung your sword wildly? Absolutely. But when you think about some of the situations the enemies are put in and some of the level design, I think you really can appreciate some of the fun exploration that goes into this. And that's why I like this game. I think it's cool. I will say that by far the best part of it is the visuals. The visuals are just gorgeous. It's got a very, you know, Japanese kind of cartoon style to it. It's very pretty to look at. I haven't noticed virtually any pop-in. I noticed very little frame pacing issues. So it's going to be a visual treat. And if you don't have a PlayStation 5, you know, good luck playing this on the 4 or the 4 Pro. It bothered me. Maybe you'll find it to be not too bad. But, you know, it's not like this is just a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's just, it looks the best there by far. Outside of the graphics, the sound is gorgeous. It's constantly playing a soundtrack. Most of the characters have voiceovers at major points in the story, so you can hear their character and you can develop with them, kind of see what their intentions are, learn about them, add them to your group, use them in combat or not. You can put them aside and pick up others. You will find plenty to choose from. You'll find somebody you like, no doubt about it. And you'll also just be treated to a really beautiful soundtrack with a lot of really catchy music and nice, you know, just music's got lyrics to it, music that's inspirational, just the ambient kind of, you know, exploration music that keeps you busy. Unfortunately, there is no major benefit or hook to using 3D audio, which I was a little disappointed by. And you know, I've been very critical of PlayStation's Tempest 3D engine and all of the wonderful things that it promises. I did play this game on both my headphones and on a sound bar, and it didn't really sound significantly better in either of them with 3D audio enabled or disabled. So keep that in mind. It's just going to be your run-of-the-mill kind of sound experience. It's still going to sound great, though. It is. But it's not going to really... When you think of like a 3D open world like this, and maybe, you know, using the environmental audio to give you like some really cool effects, you're not going to get them here. But if you like this kind of game and you like crafting and building up your character and building up your legend and getting lost in a rich environment, really look no further than this. It's free, so you really owe it to yourself, if nothing else, to check it out. I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on Genshin Impact. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.